Hi, I'm Heather Applegate with BMC Software. I'm a technical instructor here, and I teach ITIL and the BMC Remedy line. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to embrace ITIL as an organization. ITIL, really, we teach individuals, candidates, ITIL, but an organization really wants to adopt that and have everyone in the organization doing that. So I think there's 10 topics that you really need to explore if you want to really embrace ITIL as an organization. So the 10 topics that we're going to explore today, starting with number 10 on our top 10 list, what's the current state of my organization? 9, who are my change agents? 8, what is change? 7, can I identify my business services? 6, what does ITIL tell us about strategy? 5, how do I design with a purpose? 4, what do we forget in transition? 3, what is the importance of operations? And 2, will my organization embrace feedback? That is CSI or continual service improvement. And 1, who should be trained? So let's start with 1, the organization. If you look at this organizational chart, you see at the top, you've got the top of the organization, and then you've got the management, employees, right? Well, when we think of an organization chart, we need to think about ITIL. How am I going to organize my organization around ITIL? And also, how are we going to communicate? ITIL talks a lot about communication, but I'll tell you there's 2 types of communication that we really have to keep in mind: vertical communication and horizontal communication. For ITIL to work, you really can't push it from the top down. It's got to come from the bottom up as well. And then horizontal communication is really going to be the key. It's the key to business service management, because in business service management, we want IT to be close to the business. That means IT has to talk to people on the business side. That means there's horizontal communication between departments. So look at your organization and its current culture and make sure that you have the right horizontal and vertical communication in place. Next, there should be a systematic approach. When you're sending people to training in ITIL, you really should send your change agents first. Those are the people that are going to be really excited. They're going to come back from ITIL training, be enthused, want to talk to other people about ITIL. And that's really what you want. You want to encourage them further by sending them to ITSMF or other groups where people from different companies talk about how they're doing ITIL at their companies. The funnel is here to remind us that you really don't want to have that mandate of ITIL coming down, because you need that feedback coming up. You need it to come from the bottom up, and your change agents are really going to do that for you. All right, so let's get into some of the pain points. First one is change. We think of ITIL as something that talks about how to do change management and the processes and the technology. And yes, ITIL is about technology, but it's also about organizational change. You may need to change your organizational structure for ITIL to actually work. One book that I think you should read that might help your organization, it's by John Kotter, who's really an expert in change, and it's called Our Iceberg is Melting. And this book is about a penguin community. And in the penguin community, this one penguin realizes that the iceberg is melting, but he's got to convince the rest of the community that that's happening and what his solution is. So definitely give that a read. So technology is the other side of that change. So what do you need to do technology-wise to make ITIL work? There's a lot of technology that you'll probably need to adopt to make it work. So are you ready for that investment in service automation? All right. The next area that's going to be a pain point is business services. Here I have a definition of services according to ITIL. Right? So you deliver a service, it has value, the outcomes that the customers want to achieve, they happen, and you don't impose any specific costs and risks on them. But really, what are the business services? Does everyone know in the business, what are we doing to make money? What are our products and services? It's going to be very important. It's the backbone to ITIL. So you really need to understand the business services. That'll be a pain point if your employees don't understand what the business services that you offer are. Next, we're going to get really into the 5 books, because each of these books will present areas and pain points that you'll have to address. So the first book is Strategy. So in Strategy, really what happens is IT becomes a strategic asset. They understand the business, so they can design based on that. They're at the business meetings. They're talking about market share, marketing, finance. It's a big change in mindset if we really embrace strategy. Next, we get into design. Now, we've all designed, we understand that we have to have functional requirements, but in ITIL, it's really designing with a purpose. And when you design with a purpose, you think of a lot more processes that maybe you had in the past. And you think about what new processes have to be created. And you think about one of my favorites, success matrix, up front, before you've designed anything. You put any technology together, you come up with what's going to work, how we're going to rate this to see whether or not it worked for us or not, what's going to make the business happy or the customer happy. It's going to take a little bit longer now doing this design, but it's going to be worth it. Let's look at the next one, transition. Now really the next book is service transition. We talk about release and deployment, we talk about configuration and asset management, but what's most important and what we usually forget is training. In service transition, we need to have a knowledge transfer, so really in layman's terms that the operation group, they don't look like idiots, that they're ready and they're prepared to present the new service. Because after all, operation is the face of your business. Now that leads us into operations. So in operations, we talk about processes and functions. Really the process is what we're doing and the functions, who's doing that. We need to think about what is an incident? What is a problem? What kind of tools will we give our service desk so they can represent our company effectively and that they're knowledgeable? Okay, that's what we do in operation. Next, we move into continual service improvement. Now, continual service improvement is great, right? We look at everything, we assess what we did, we look at our metrics, and then we make suggestions. What's hard about continual service goes back to communication, because now we get a lot of feedback, How are we going to handle that communication in our organization? How are we going to structure this feedback? Will it come from a specific department, or will be CSI part of everybody's job in the IT organization to continuously improve? So what you'll have to think about in your organization is how are we going to handle feedback? That takes us through the books. Now let's talk about training. Everyone in the organization, if you want to be an ITIL organization or an organization that embraces ITIL, should have foundation training. Foundation training has a few different forms. So you can have foundation training trained in about 3 or 4 days and get a certification in V3 ITIL. Or if you don't want to go to the level of certifying people, you might just want to have awareness training. No certification, but you'll learn the terms that you need to embrace ITIL. You could also just have an executive overview of ITIL that may include airport simulation. Airport simulation. Let me tell you about airport simulation. Airport simulation is going to really teach your group about operations. It'll have a heavy focus on communication, incident management, problem management, configuration management, and if you've never heard of the CMDB, you'll know about it after airport simulation. Some things that you'll learn about in airport simulation are really the personalities, the people in your organization, because that'll really come out during that time. You'll find non-managers that are able to do management roles with ease. You'll see people that have been in IT for many years start to understand more what it is to be in the business, what it is to worry and wonder what's going on and have no one communicate to you what's going on. Right? So all of your employees really should have some kind of foundation. Now, some of them will need more training. Some will want to become an ITIL expert. What does that involve? It involves taking intermediate level courses. So there are courses on each of the 5 books. There are courses on capabilities. They can mix and match these courses and get to a higher level course called Management Across the Life Cycle. In Management Across the Life Cycle, it's a 5-day, very intensive course, After that course, you complete an exam, and upon passing that, you become an ITIL expert. This is very different than version 2, where there was a 3-day management and some practitioner courses, as well as certificates. This really has a lot more breadth and depth. Now, if you have folks that need a little bit more ITIL training than foundation, but really don't need to become experts, for example, a change manager. Change manager might want to take transition and maybe a capabilities course. Restore, control, and validate might be a good course. What if you have a process manager or a CSI manager, if you call it using the ITIL term? Maybe they want to take a WBT in Six Sigma and the CSI course. So there are many, many options as far as training at BMC to really bring your organization up in ITIL. So let's just go through quickly the 10 topics that you really need to look at to embrace ITIL as an organization. 10, what is the current state of my organization? So getting a handle on that. 9, who are my change agents? Who's going to go to training, be excited, and help spread ITIL throughout the organization? 8, what is change from a technology perspective, from an organization perspective? 7, can I define my business services? 6, what does ITIL tell us about strategy? How do I design with a purpose? Right? Number 5. 4, what do we forget to do in transition? 3, what is the importance of operations? 2, will my organization embrace feedback? And lastly, who should be trained? You've just heard the top 10 topics to explore for an organization to embrace ITIL. I encourage you to go out to bmc.com/education and sign up your employees for ITIL classes. Thank you.